This is the Believe in Pro Wrestling podcast. Here's Rick Ucchino and SP3 on the Believe Podcast Network.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome in. It is Tuesday, 2:05. We're a little later than I wanted to start, but some situations unfolded in my kitchen a few moments ago. It was my dog's fault, not mine. But we're here. It's Tuesday. We're live, and man, the hits just keep on coming for the pro wrestling business. We got a ton to talk about, including the results of Grand Slam, which SP3 was at this past Wednesday. Eddie Kingston getting his crowning moment. And then he revealed in an interview to Ad Free Shows that he's going to be sticking around in AEW for a while. By the way, that's not the only contract news we got this week. Good and bad. Several WWE superstars that you know, maybe you even love a little bit, no longer with the company. Dolph Ziggler, Matt Riddle, Elias, Emma, Aaliyah, among the names, let go. We'll talk about what their futures may hold. And then, oh yeah, there just happened to be the big announcement broken by ESPN this morning, SP3, which I think goes to show you how WWE views her and speaks volume to her star power, that they went out and they announced Jade Cargill, multi-year deal. She is officially part of the WWE. She is reporting to the Performance Center today to begin working out and getting ready for her debut, whenever that may be, for whatever brand that may be. And we can discuss that a little bit here. But yeah, man, when that came out around 8, 9 o'clock this morning, and it was ESPN that broke it, and WWE is plastering it out there, and Triple H is touting her accomplishments and you know, just who she is as a performer, I think that speaks volumes to what they have prepared for Jade Cargill in WWE.
Yeah, I think it's quite clear that they have big things planned. You know, we've already heard the reports that they have main roster creative getting ready for her. So they view her probably in that kind of top echelon of performers that they have, with the Becky Lynches of the world, with the Charlotte Flairs, with the Bianca Belairs, with the Rhea Ripleys. They think that Jade Cargill is going to be another piece to put in that upper tier. And you could tell that by the way they have made this announcement and treated her and treated this signing. This is a huge thing for WWE because it's also a big perception thing, not just, you know, a future talent that they can build around. They have plenty of future talent, but this is somebody that changes the perception of wrestling, where a lot of the wave has gone from WWE to AEW. This is another kind of seismic shift where you have someone else to follow up from Cody Rhodes in 2022. You have Jade Cargill here in 2023 of that big piece from AEW coming over to WWE.
Any issue with them announcing it and ruining the surprise of her debut, so to speak?
No, it was never going to be a surprise. So,
sure.
like it's already, for the people that know and why they put it out on social media, it was the biggest non-surprise out there. Like you saw when it was someone like a Mercedes Moné coming into New Japan Pro Wrestling. I think New Japan Pro Wrestling probably could have got 100 or so, or maybe hundreds of more buys for Wrestle Kingdom 17 if they had just put it out there and made it a proper report that New Japan Pro Wrestling had made a deal with Mercedes Moné. When Mercedes Moné came out at Wrestle Kingdom, it was like, yeah, this is what we expected. This is what we heard. This is what we're going to do. And I feel like Jade Cargill would have been the same thing if she debuts at Survivor Series, debuts at a Royal Rumble, debuts at NXT No Mercy this weekend. It would have been like, oh, yeah, Jade's here. Yeah, we've been hearing about this. This is not a news. It's not like, oh my God. It's not like CM Punk or anything like that. She hasn't been off TV or been gone from wrestling that long. This is not something that we've heard numerous reports about. WWE just putting it out in the front, and it puts her name out there for certain outlets that probably hasn't been reporting that she was going to make this move.
Yeah, if it was completely and utterly unknown that her AEW contract was expiring or anything like that, yeah, I'd say keep it quiet for the shock value. But and the business has changed. You've got more reporters now who are credible, who are well connected within the wrestling industry, who are going to break these kind of deals, no different than the NBA or the MLB or NFL, which, by the way, we are brought to you today by our good friends over at Bet Online. The NFL back in full swing. The Bengals got a win last night, thank God. Although I didn't get home until 1 a.m. after that Monday Night Football game, and then that alarm hit at 5 a.m. this morning, boy, and I am running on fumes and caffeine. But regardless, BetOnline is the place you need to go for all of your sports betting needs. Get the latest information, odds, matchups, player injury news. It's all right there. BetOnline.ag is the website, or you can use your mobile device and sign up today. Just use our promo code BELIEVE. That is spelled BLEAV. Get your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts. So we appreciate them. We would not be here without them right now. But business has changed, man. And I got to feel like the merger may have had something to do with this. This is Jade Cargill is like the first big signing since the merger, since, under this TKO era, this Endeavor era. This feels more like a big sports type announcement like they would do with a Shohei Ohtani in Major League Baseball, whatever kind of massive contract that he signs. This feels like something that Cody Rhodes would have gotten if he was signing now as opposed to 2 years ago, which, by the way, we all knew Cody was coming when he showed up at WrestleMania. So even that wasn't a surprise at that point. It would have been more of a surprise had somebody else shown up and it not been Cody Rhodes who was fighting Seth Rollins at WrestleMania in Dallas at WrestleMania 38. So, yeah, man, this just feels like a big deal the way that they broke it. And I expect this to be standard practices moving forward. If they get somebody like a Jade Cargill, or if there's another whoever the third AEW superstar is, whether it's like an MJF or a Ricky Starks or somebody like that, or CM Punk even for that matter, I expect this to be broken the same way.
I don't expect CM Punk to be broken the same way. There's certain people that you're gonna want to do the surprise with. They'll do it afterwards. After he makes the surprise debut, that'll be something. But I think this was a rare occasion. And honestly, Jade Cargill is doing what anyone should do in her position. Because if Jade Cargill, not a lot of people have been mentioning this, Jade Cargill did try out for WWE previously. And if WWE had signed her, they probably had already realized her flaws and ruled her out of the top position. She played this the right way. She got the tryout with WWE. They didn't sign her. So she goes to AEW, establishes herself as a star in the wrestling business. And now WWE look at her as more of a hot commodity and signed her for probably a couple of more zeros than they would have signed her previously, because she has proven herself now. So this was the right thing for her. For AEW, this is a learning experience. And let me just get this out the way. The people on social media are just so much. Like, you do have to realize there is a difference between AEW could have done more with Jade Cargill and AEW fumbled or dropped the ball with Jade Cargill. There are two different things there. Like, there is a complete distinction. And 9 times out of 10, the people that I'm seeing say these things are not just, the random wrestling fans that I click on their profile and they got 100 or less followers. I expect them idiots to say some stuff like that. But when it's actual content creators or podcasters, and I look at them and then I look at their content, and 9 times out of 10, they don't watch AEW. So shut the hell up. Shut the hell up. You don't know if they fumbled or dropped the ball. You don't watch it. You've probably seen a clip. Like, shut up.
We're not even 10 minutes into the show. We already get an epic MP3 rant. SP3 or MP3. That's how tired I am right now. I just called this man basically a podcast file. But regardless, I agree with you. There is a massive difference. And yes, they could have done more and they should have done more. And maybe they could have done more and should have done more to keep her in AEW, because she is that big of a star. And I think And Steven said it in the chat. No, Steven, I need caffeine. I need more caffeine. All right. I think
I don't
SP3
need
is
a
fine.
caffeine. I've been off
He's good.
caffeine for
I'm the
a
one
while.
going on 3.5 hours sleep. All right. I need more caffeine. As a matter of fact, excuse me. This episode fueled by Diet Dr. Pepper. And no, they're not a sponsor. I'm just a big fan. Regardless, like Jade Cargill was a huge star and an attraction for AEW. Don't forget the fact that like when they were doing a lot of their promotional material, like when TBS was like running out their like ad stuff on like their big shows, like Jade Cargill was front and center as the big promotional piece for AEW. I remember talking to Athena, right? Like not long after Athena signed with AEW, when she was in WWE, Jade Cargill was a reason why she started watching AEW, is because she would flip to the TV, she would see Jade Cargill on television and be like, I need to watch her. And that's exactly what she is. She has that physical aura. And I got to agree with Bully Ray, what he said on Busted Open today. She is an attraction much like China was, where you just don't see women, especially, who just command your attention based off of their look. China was like that. Jade Cargill is like that. And WWE, with the fantastic production and marketing department that they have, knowing that they have put so much in Jade Cargill already with how they have introduced her into the company with this signing, she's going to be a priority for them. Whether she starts on the main roster, whether she starts in NXT, and we can have arguments about which is more successful, they are going to have plans for her, and she is going to be a priority, much like the Bloodline storyline and Roman Reigns and the Becky Lynches of the world. They're going to make sure that she gets her time, and what they have for her is important. And yeah, man, like I think this is going to be big for WWE, and I do think this is a big loss for AEW as well.
I can't necessarily say it's a loss for AEW because, like, if you're gonna book the woman the way you've been booking them, is it really a loss if she would have stayed for another few years? Like, it's like, no, it's not a real big loss because they don't value that. They seem to not value. That's not what they are really valuing of things that they are losing. That's why I put out the question on our women's wrestling podcast over on True Hill Heat, Seven Face and Heels. Is Jade Cargill the AEW's biggest loss ever? And I thought about the answer and I was like, no, she's not. It's Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes is a bigger loss to AEW than Jade Cargill. CM Punk versus Jade Cargill, we can have that debate. That's more of a closer debate. But I would say Cody Rhodes, CM Punk, those are the people that they valued more. They could have done more with Jade Cargill, but they seem to have a ceiling on what they would do with women to begin with. So it's not really a big loss for them. And even like there was always a ceiling for Jade Cargill to begin with because of her. She's not that great in the ring. She's not that's the number one thing that you need to have in AEW, especially, is being great in the ring. And they have great workers in the ring that can present themselves as stars, as you've seen with Toni Storm, you've seen it with Thunder Rosa, you've seen it with Britt Baker. Like, they have women that can do that. So I don't think this is gonna be as big of a loss as some people that want to big up Jade Cargill. And I get bigging up Jade Cargill because I'm gonna be the number one bigging up Jade Cargill. I'm all for that. But we need to really look at, like, it's 100% different if Jade Cargill leaves WWE to go back to AEW than Jade Cargill leaving AEW to go to WWE. This seems like the most natural transition, and this seems like a performer that was ready-made to be in WWE, and that she was a round peg in a square hole named AEW. That's what this seems like. It's two totally different things to me.
Yeah, so maybe not a loss is the way to look at it, but a
missed opportunity, learning experience. Missed
opportunity.
Those are the two best things you could say.
Yeah, there was a resource that was untapped for AEW. I think is the best way to look at it, and they basically just lost the resource. They had it available to them. They no longer have it available to them. But by the way, to your point, SP3, and I think this is important for the tribalistic people out there, right? This is why AEW's existence is so important to the business. not only for the wrestlers, but also for WWE. Because think about this. AEW, their existence, and the time that Cody Rhodes and Jade Cargill spent in those companies developed and gave them bigger stars to present on their own product. They had a chance to sign Jade Cargill and didn't, which tells you maybe how green or maybe how frankly awful she might have been in the ring at the time of that audition if they look at somebody like that, because she doesn't look that much different. Maybe a bit more tone now, but she didn't look that much different from her photos in her WWE tryout than she does today. They saw this physical specimen during her WWE tryout and said, nah, we're good. But she developed, she worked, she was green. She was very green when she started in AEW, but she has gotten so much better. And now the existence of AEW has presented WWE with a fresh new star that they can polish up and shine and get ready to go and go through the WWE promotion machine, and she's going to be great, and they're going to be better off for it. Same with Cody Rhodes. They got a bigger star and a top baby face out of it. And those two individuals got more money. They were able to get more opportunities. This is why AEW existing is so damn important. And it's also important, SP3, which before I move on to that, we got a couple of comments on this. Frantic World saying, is Jade with WWE for 5 years or more? They said a multi-year deal. To me, I'm reading 3 or 5, because that tends to be what the contracts have been recently when they have signed people, at least before the Endeavor deal. So maybe things have changed possibly on that. Somebody asked, wonder if Jade will be a face or a heel, SP3. Fair question. I think
heel. It's
yeah,
I think it's a no-brainer that she comes in as a heel to begin with. I think that if you establish her character is naturally the cocky, overconfident, powerful woman. Like that's her character. That's a heel character. Eventually it will get over and the fans will enjoy her being like that, and she could become a face, but she always, I think, no matter what company she goes to, I think she starts off as a heel.
And if her social media activity this morning is any indication, yeah, she gonna be a heel right off the bat for sure. I still hope that they go the route that you laid out, you talked me into last week, where I get No Mercy this Saturday. We'll talk about this matchup coming up here a little bit, but No Mercy this Saturday. If Becky Lynch retains, Jade Cargill right there, face to face. Let's go. Let's move on. But the other reason why it's great that AEW exists, SP3, is because it's going to give an opportunity for several WWE superstars who are now former WWE superstars, AEW and Impact and New Japan, and the fact that there are so many options out there, because WWE, after the Endeavor deal and after they announced a new streaming, or not streaming, but a new TV rights contract for SmackDown, which we'll get to as well, it was cut down day late last week. I mean, it was either Thursday or it was Friday. I can't remember at this point. It's been a long 48, 72 hours for me. It was a Thursday. Okay. It's been a blur bouncing from one job to the other for me at this point. But some big names that you know of: Dolph Ziggler, Matt Riddle, Elias, Emma, Mustafa Ali, which was the first name that was announced. He announced it himself, which was very, very surprising in the fact that this man was supposed to have a title match this Saturday. And
WWE is wild. They used to announce their releases on their website.
Yeah.
Then it became a period where Sean Rossett was doing it for them. Now they done call people up and be like, yeah, you're fired. You're let go from the company. Can you tweet that for me? Thanks.
I felt so bad for Emma, who because they also announced that Elimination Chamber was going to be in Australia on Thursday. So it was like 3 a.m. They sent out this press release that Elimination Chamber was going to be in Australia. Then at 8 o'clock in the morning, it broke that this TV rights deal, SmackDown was going to USA. And then 9 o'clock, they started firing people. And Emma tweets out at 8 a.m. Oh, I can't, this is a dream come true. I can't wait to go back home and be there with WWE. And then an hour later, she tweets, oop, never mind. I've been terminated. I'm no longer with WWE. And it's what the anyway, but regardless, and honestly, it's a bad look when WWE announces a $1.4 billion TV rights deal. They get this big ass merger with TKO and, with Endeavor and UFC and everything. And then they're immediately cutting talent. But I mean, SP3, if you look at a lot of these outside of Matt Riddle, how many of these people were getting TV time? None of them. A lot of them hadn't wrestled on television in months at this point. You look at a name like Dolph Ziggler, the guy's been with the company for 18 years. He's got like the second most matches of anybody in the company outside of Kane in WWE history. 5-tool player. You could put him in the main event, a Monday Night Raw. He's talked about this before. He could be on the opening match. He could be in the Intercontinental title match. He could be in the main event match if somebody gets hurt, and nobody would bat an eye because of this man's resume and what we know that he can do. There's value in a guy like that, but they let him go. Elias, an extremely versatile and entertaining performer, a guy who's shown that he can get over. They let him go. Nothing for him. Mason Mansoor, two very talented guys who got stuck with a shit gimmick and were in the process of actually like getting people on board with it. Maybe getting over is a strong term, but there were people who were enjoying what they were doing, and immediately they get pulled from television like this the second they start building any kind of momentum, and they lose Maxine, and they just put her. It looked like it was going to be a feud between Maximum Male Models and the Alpha Academy over Maxine, and they were like, nah, bump that. We're just gonna take Maximum Male Models off television and put Maxine in the Alpha Academy, and we're done. Like there's so many talented people. Matt Riddle's the outlier here. Matt Riddle's the outlier in which it was like this dude just finally burned one too many bridges. Like extremely great in the ring, entertaining, depending on what your cup of tea is. Some people found him annoying, but the guy just had so many off the outside of the ring issues. It just became too much of a headache for WWE to keep him around anymore. But you never like to see anybody lose their job, but like you could look at a lot of these people and go, honestly, they might be better off in a couple of months if they can land in an AEW, if they can land in an Impact Wrestling, or maybe just even take indie bookings. Because I feel like a lot of these people, they just want to wrestle too. And now they're going to get the opportunity to do that. At least that's what I'm choosing to be optimistic about this, because I hate these mass firing days so much.
I mean, no one likes the mass firing. No one likes to see anyone lose their job. There are people that are on this list that, yeah, they weren't being used, so it makes sense why WWE wouldn't think they're getting any return on their investment. As far as this comment here, no, AEW does not need to get multiple people, especially Aaliyah. No. No, let's not do that. Let's not do that. We already got enough full spots. Like, I need y'all to think a little bit before y'all say something. It's like, think about AEW's roster and then think about adding these people, and would they actually be used properly? No. Shelton Benjamin? Yeah, I think he's a guy you could put over in Ring of Honor. Ali, he's someone that you would put in Dynamite Collision. He's immediate. Dolph Ziggler, he automatically has his foot in the door. He's the one guy that I think went out WWE's door and now is knocking on AEW's door already. Tenille Dashwood, I can see her anywhere. I think the best place would be Impact Wrestling, though, because I'm sorry, unless you're a major star going over to AEW with that women's division, no, sir. Sorry, no. Let's not do that. Let's have her go back to Impact Wrestling because they used her properly. As far as the comment before that, noob, Mariah May from Stardom goes to WWE. Do you want her to be used properly? They got 57 million blonde women that can wrestle. What is wrong with y'all? Do y'all think before you suggest these people ruin their career and go to a company that they're not going to be used well? As far as the WWE mass releases, I mean, this was gonna come. These guys should have knew it was coming, and if they weren't being used on TV, that it's a possibility they were gonna get that call. I haven't heard too many people saying they were shocked, other than really kind of Emma, because I feel like Emma had just gone back into her regular role. Like, she was not being used the last time she was in WWE. She comes back. gets used once, gets used sparingly, and then not used at all.
She
So I
peaked
think
on her first night.
yeah,
They
I think
put her.
she got really comfortable and she was back in her comfortability, making a nice little check, and she didn't think that she was going to get that call. So when that call, I think Riddick Moss was probably more prepared for that call than Emma was, from how it seemed with the tweets. But I know that all these people, this is not a big loss, it's not a big setback. Hopefully, a lot of these people have their money saved. They're already millionaires, so I'm not gonna feel that bad about them. I'm not gonna cry for them or anything like that. And I know that the current landscape of wrestling is better than it's ever been. So all these people can bounce back on their feet and they can find a prominent position and can have successful runs. There's been so many success stories in the last 3 years with all these WWE mass releases, whether it's someone like a Matt Cardona who had a cup of coffee in AEW, but most of his success comes from GCW and working the independents, becoming NWA World Heavyweight Champion. Someone like Steph DeLander, who doesn't get a lot of plug, but she deserves some because she has completely kind of reformed her career. She's on the independent scene, has a great act with Matt Cardona. She's getting more opportunities in different places over in Japan. She's got opportunities in Impact Wrestling, Ring of Honor, so, Subculture, another one that didn't go to. I'm naming people that these acts that have gotten success without even going to AEW. That's another thing that I think that people need to point out, that not everybody of these 25 talents need to go to AEW to find success. Subculture have gone across the independent scene in the UK. They've been the top tag team, one of the top tag teams over there, winning Rev Pro Undisputed Tag Team titles. They won the Impact World Tag Team titles. I actually interviewed them yesterday and talked about all their success with them, because it's just been a little over a year since WWE did mask cutting for the NXT UK. So this is not something any new for the company. It's not something that should be a big surprise, because they did do the merger, and all these people are going to bounce back on their feet. Matt Riddle, yes, is the outlier, but I also want to say Matt Riddle is the person that 1000% I know he did not have his last WWE match. He's going to get re-signed, folks. Like, he's the one out of the 25 where I'm just like, oh, okay, WWE released him so they can, buy some time, let this whole Port Authority thing cool over, and then they're going to re-sign him next year.
Yeah, probably.
I will put it right here, September 26, 2023, on the Believe in Pro Wrestling podcast. In a year, we will be talking about Matt Riddle has returned to WWE.
Yeah, and he'll probably attack Randy Orton or some bullshit like that, which apparently he's working out again. He was spotted at the Performance Center, so hopefully we're getting closer to Randy Orton coming back. So that's good. Matt Riddle's gonna go. He's gonna go to UFC. He's already getting some offers. He'll wrestle a few UFC fights, or well, maybe not UFC because they're under Endeavor, so they're the same company now, right?
Yeah.
But he'll do some MMA bouts or something like that.
He'll go to indie scene. He'll do a couple of indies.
Yeah, for sure. And he'll bounce around. He'll get his name still. He'll keep his name out there. A guy like Mustafa Ali is somebody that I think could really do the Matt Cardona route, where he is just, goes out there and uses his talent and the guy can cut a promo. He can come up with great characters. Like, he's a believable guy, and he's a great worker. He's a guy who can go out there and fit in any kind of role you need him to. I think he's a guy who's going to go out there and find his own path on the independent scene and take that Matt Cardona route and make himself an even bigger star than he was when he was in WWE. Elias, I don't know. That guy could end up on Fox News tomorrow for all I know. But the guy is talented. He's a good character actor. We'll see what
this is there. Probably the most I will say the most impact WWE releases I've ever seen. There's multiple people on this list where I'm like, they would do great in Impact. Elias, Emma, Matt Moss, Mason Mansoor. Like, there's a lot of people on this list where I'm just like, yeah, you go to Impact Wrestling, you could be successful. Hard to Kill 2024. Watch out. All the mass releases debut at that pay-per-view.
Dolph Ziggler is the one guy I think is the AEW graphic's already been made. Like, the AEW graphic has already been made. I think that's the guy who's going to go there. And honestly, I would not be surprised, and I brought this up on the Fightful Collision post show. I would not be surprised if CJ Perry's first clients are the Namath brothers. If those end up being her first clients, as them as a tag team, somebody she already has some history with in WWE. They don't need to go down the dating route, but this angle that is going on right now between Miro and CJ Perry over on Collision is really, really good. This is a CJ Perry that I can really get behind. Somebody who's got some substance to her other than I'm hot and I'm Russian. Yeah, she's hot and she's flexible and all this stuff. But Miro coming in and saying, you're my greatest temptation, but your biggest temptation is this business, and I don't like how it changes you. And, CJ Perry saying, hey, look, I don't care. Do I look like I need help right now? Do I look like I need saving? And he's like, not right now. She was like, look, you go do your thing. I'm going to go do mine. Just stay away from my clients. What I want is Miro to go on a war path. I want anybody who is seen talking to CJ Perry on Collision over the next few weeks, I want them to get NXT parking lotted by Miro before they have a chance to sign on the dotted line. And then finally, somebody who's not afraid of Miro shows up in AEW, about, 90 days from now, when it's Nick alongside of his brother, and they're there. And Lana,
man, we all know CJ like chocolate. Powerhouse Hobbs going to be our first client.
They did say they were going to. They did say they were going to revisit that down the line, but
like chocolate.
Yeah.
Gotta get Hobbs his win back against Miro. Anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. But I wouldn't be surprised if Nick gets involved, Dolph Ziggler gets involved with CJ and Miro, but he seems tailor-made for a Collision. I mean, it just seems like an absolute no-brainer. I think this is a great opportunity for a lot of these people. And like you said, I agree with you. I think Matt Riddle will be back sooner rather than later. One guy who's not going anywhere, Eddie Kingston. He had a great week. He wins the opening contest on Grand Slam. Arthur Ashe, you were there. You got to experience it. That was a crowd that, had he lost that match, I think there would have been a literal riot. Yeah. And thankfully, like the moment that we found out that Eddie was opening up the show, I knew he was winning, because there's no way that Tony was going to let the rest of that show get hijacked by the New York crowd. So it kind of was like a relief off the back there that was opening up, and he was going to get his moment. SP3, before we talk about his extension, which he announced this week, just being there for Eddie to finally get his moment, win the Ring of Honor World Championship, and what was a really great match with Claudio Castagnoli. What was that like to be in there as part of that New York crowd and being behind their hometown boy there?
This was probably one of the best crowds I've ever been a part of for like a single match, because it was just Eddie Kingston just felt so beloved. Like it was like a family member we were cheering for. And Eddie said it right in the post-match interview: when you are from New York, they fight for you. And it felt like those chants during different moments when Claudio was beating them down, and just how they worked the matchup. They worked the matchup like more of like an all Japan matchup with the hard strikes. You had the physicality on the outside, and then you had the big moments. And I love the final few moments where Claudio used basically the European uppercut was kind of like his death nail. That's what he pulled out to kind of put people away, even Eddie back at All Out. And Eddie just became immune to all the European uppercuts at the end, to the point that the last one he just completely no sells and gives him the last Urgen, and then finishes him with the folding bomb, the old Kawada finisher. So love that, love the finish, love the moment. Probably like the biggest pop I've ever been a part of for a title change. And I felt like that hometown love for somebody, I have never seen that as much as I seen it there. The only thing I can compare it to as far as in a New York event is Homicide winning the Ring of Honor World Championship back at Final Battle 2006, which was my first Ring of Honor and independent show I ever went to. So it was great to be a part of that moment. I actually talked to Eddie back at All Out weekend during StarCast in Chicago, and he was like, as long as, because we told him we from New York, me and my boy, and we was like, yeah, we had to show love to you. He was like, as long as I get love in New York, I always be good. And that's that having that moment there, like, just made that even special, remembering what he said to us.
Yeah, man. Eddie's somebody that we don't talk about on this show as nearly as much as we should, because this man might be the best promo in wrestling. Like that promo that he cut ahead of Grand Slam on Collision 10 days ago, where like he walks back to the camera and he's like, what do you want me to say? And he just goes on this great absolutely epic rant about where he came from and why it's so important to him and what he's going to do to Claudio and why it's so personal to him. It all felt off the cuff. It felt so real. And when he starts dropping F-bombs on television, like you believe him. It's such a believable, real promo, and you connect with the guy. There are certain people that just connect with the audience, and it's not a skill that you can teach. And Eddie Kingston 100% is one of those guys. And the fact that he finally got his opportunity in AEW, again, another reason why this company is its existence alone is good, no matter how successful they are in the ratings and ticket sales. And we'll talk about some of that coming up here soon. But like, just the fact that this man got his chance to be on national television, and now he has signed a 4-year contract extension, as he told ad-free shows, our buddy Dominic D'Angelo this week. Did it on the low, signed a 4-year contract extension, and he's going to be sticking around for a while. And now he's the Ring of Honor World Champion, and he's the New Japan Strong Champion. He's going to be defending both titles at the same time at WrestleDream this coming Sunday. Like, you can't help but smile and be happy for the guy who is like a guy who had all-world potential, but just never really seemed to live up to it for one reason or another, battling his own demons. And the fact that, he's been able to battle those and he's here now, like, you can't help but be happy for the guy. And he's finally getting his moment. And I feel like AEW is really going to lean into him. And I know he's the Ring of Honor World Champion right now, but this is a guy that AEW can put in any situation against any competitor, and he's going to do great. And he's going to generate that reaction. And to the purists out there who think people need to look like Hulk Hogan to be a world champion, no, you don't. You don't. Eddie has disproven that. Like, Eddie, Samoa Joe, like, show the big boys some love out there, all right? We can brawl too, son. Like, let's go. I'm so happy that this happened. Let's see. Seeing a lot of conversation in the chat here. First off, Steven saying that Kingston versus Shibata at WrestleDream is going to be a banger. Yes,
Can't
it
wait.
is. 1,000,000%. Seeing a lot of conversation about Ricky Starks and Wardlow as the possible next ones to jump to WWE. I think Wardlow seems like a no-brainer because he's not on TV right now. They're not. Like, his booking has been very confusing, and the fact that they're not using him at all right now, and as far as we know, he's not hurt or injured or anything like that, it's very Jade Cargill-esque about how the same way she went out of the company, where she took time off, she came back. I meant to say this last week, and I didn't. I give a lot of credit to Jade Cargill for coming back and putting Chris Statlander over. She did not need to do that, but she did it. She came back, she put Chris Statlander over, she took that asterisk away from her, and the way that she won the TBS championship, and now Chris Statlander has got that seal, and she's moving forward. She didn't have to do that. I give her a lot of credit for coming back and wrestling that match. But Ricky Starks is an interesting name, and I think that's a guy who is tailor-made also for the WWE system. I think that guy is an absolute rock star, and I know there are people who are getting impatient with how he is being booked, even though he is getting booked better than he ever has been. The impatience is real with Ricky Starks and getting the rocket strapped to his back. We'll talk about, I'll ask SP3 a big question once we get to the 5 count, but I did want to bring this up. I mentioned it earlier. USA Network is going to start airing Friday Night SmackDown in 2024. So it's moving from Fox to the USA Network, a $1.4 billion deal, which is both monumental and also, I guess, slightly disappointing in the fact that this is more money than they were getting with Fox, but they were expecting to get more money on the open market. Regardless, this is still $1.4 billion for a 5-year deal. SP3, this is one that I think makes a ton of sense in the fact that, one, especially with Raw and NXT still up for negotiation, USA Network, Warner Brothers Discovery, they're locked in for 5 more years. They were able to bring SmackDown over, right? And they are going to be able to stay in the WWE family for the next 5 years, and they could still end up with everything if they can strike a deal for both Raw and NXT. Although conflicting reports, it sounds like Raw and NXT might be going elsewhere. Maybe Fox is in the running. I don't know. What did I do? I just okay, sorry. I knocked my lamp over and I just hit random buttons, and all of a sudden I couldn't hear myself anymore. But we're cool now. But it's going to be interesting to see where Raw and NXT end up going. I think this is a good deal for WWE. They may lose some ratings because not as many households have USA as they do Fox, but they're still getting $1.4 billion. It's hard to feel like this is a loss at all. But the interesting part about this, Monday Night Raw, NXT, they could go to Amazon. They could go to ESPN. There's a lot of different options, but there's also rumblings, SP3, that Raw for the first time in decades could be moving off of Monday nights to another night of the week. Could you imagine, SP3, Wednesday Night Raw going head-to-head with AEW Dynamite? I would be here for the chaos, and as an agent of chaos, SP3, I know you would be here for it as well.
Thumbs up for chaos. I'm here for chaos and pettiness, and that would be a little bit of both. So they here for that. No, Monday Night Raw is not moving off of Mondays, guys. I'm just letting you know. Like, I'm gonna be real with you. You know, it always is nice to have content and have open-ended stuff, but you don't have to worry. It's not gonna move off of Mondays unless WWE is completely forced. Well, we can look at the figure from our perspective. Yeah, of course, $1.4 billion looks great, but from WWE's perspective, this is a disappointment. This is not what they wanted. They wanted a lot more money. They wanted in the 2 billion, close to the 2 billion range. So going a little bit lower than that. If you round it off, it's really just $1 billion. $1 billion. That's a little bit of a disappointment for them. I think that is why they're going to open up the negotiations to a couple of more spots as far as Raw and NXT, because they're looking to get some more money from a different company, because that's what they were looking for in 2019, why they had SmackDown move over to Fox. That is why they did that then. This is why the negotiations is still open for Raw and NXT, and they didn't just outright just put everything on USA Network, even though I kind of feel like that is what's going to happen in the end. Like, everything's going to just be on the USA Network because USA and NBC Universal values WWE a little bit more than every other place will at this point.
It's going to be interesting to see how everything shakes out. We appreciate everybody who is in the chat and chiming along. Thank you guys so much. We love all the support. If you could go ahead and give us a thumbs up on this video, we would greatly appreciate that. That little click really helps drive up our audience. Number two, if you're new to the show, you like what you hear, please hit that subscribe button as we continue to grow our subscriber count every single week. If you missed it, I dropped a conversation with Chelsea Green not too long ago. That's available now right here on the Believe in Pro Wrestling podcast channel. So make sure to check that out. Chelsea's awesome. I didn't get to watch Monday Night Raw last night, by the way, which is why we're not talking a whole lot about it. I was covering the Monday Night Football game, but Chelsea Green on Twitter was hilarious last night because for whatever reason she wasn't booked for the show, but she's great. I love her. It was a great conversation. Make sure to check that out. I'd appreciate that. Also follow me on Twitter, by the way, at Rick Ucchino. Follow him while you're on there, at True Heel SP3, as you see on the screen. No E for those who are listening on the podcast in the word true. It's TRUHEEL SP3. But if you follow me on Twitter later this week, I will be releasing a conversation that I had with Ilya Dragunov before I got my happy ass out of here to drive down to Paycor Stadium last night. I'm just double dipping everywhere, but that's going to be released ahead of NXT No Mercy this weekend, which we're going to talk about coming up here in just a few seconds as we get into this.
It's time to answer the 5 count on the Believe Podcast Network.
It is a pay-per-view weekend, SP3. Yes, No Mercy is this Saturday, but this Sunday, live from Seattle, Washington, in a venue that seats 18,000 people, there will be AEW WrestleDream. And, man, I hate the fact that we have to, this is continuously in the news, but only about 5,000 seats or so have been sold for AEW WrestleDream at the last count that I had checked, and they were only setting it up for about 7,000 or 8,000 or so. But man, you start seeing headlines like AEW about to put on the lowest attended pay-per-view of this, that, and the other thing. However, these clickbait sites want to spin it, SP3. But considering where ticket sales have been for some of these events recently, how they had to have a big full-on media push to get to the kind of numbers that they wanted at Arthur Ashe for Grand Slam, should this be a little concerning with the lack of movement for WrestleDream that's going to be headlined by Washington's own Bryan Danielson in a match against Zack Sabre Jr. that wrestling hardcore fans have been wanting to see. That's a dream match for a lot of people. This is a good card that they set up for Sunday. Still not moving tickets though. Interesting.
I think it comes down to AEW, if not learning from the lesson that they should have learned with Grand Slam, is that they have to do more local promotion. The local promotion was the thing that got them over that 10,000 mark for AEW Grand Slam, or close to 11,000 apparently for AEW Grand Slam, when it was looking like they were going to have like 7,000 a week out when we were doing this show. When we were doing the show a week ago, they were at like 8,000 and they got like 3,000 in 24 hours. So they need that push, and they have the people to do it. You have Seattle, Washington's own Bryan Danielson. You have Seattle natives in Darby Allin and Nick Wayne and Swerve Strickland. You need to, once Thursday, one AEW Dynamite goes, you send their asses out to Seattle and you have them push Thursday, Friday, Saturday. You have them be on all the local news affiliates and you have them push. You learn your lesson and you do it again, and you try to get to a number that's a little bit more suitable. I think that if you're in an 18,000 seat arena, you got to get close to that 10,000 mark, but it doesn't even seem like they're going to get to the 6,000 mark. So I think as long as they could sell the tickets that they have distributed or put out there, the 7,000, I think that's what they're looking for here. So they're going to need that late push locally.
Yeah, they did no advertising ahead of the Cincinnati Dynamite, like none, like maybe a couple of TV spots, which was mind-boggling to me because they did so much advertising ahead of the October 2022 show, the one where Hangman Adam Page got the concussion, and they did almost 3 times as much tickets for that show as they ended up doing a couple of weeks back here in Cincinnati, where they were at like 1,800, and they ended up like giving away, like I got an email saying, hey, we got tickets, you can just go, like you can just go to the show. And I'm like, hey, I would go, but it's my anniversary, like I can't go, I'm sorry. But like I had multiple opportunities to just grab free tickets because they just wanted to fill out the venue, because they did no advertising and they didn't really even do that much media. Like Renee Paquette did one interview with Local 12 and Moxley did one interview with me, which you can hear, by the way, here on the Believe in Pro Wrestling podcast YouTube channel as well. That's up there right now. But like that's it. That's all they did. And yeah, you got 2,400 people into Heritage Bank Center because of it. Get back to the grassroots. Get back to what made you successful. Focus on that. They need to start doing that moving forward. Now, SP3, one guy who's not booked for this card on Sunday is Absolute Ricky Starks. Now, he is on honestly, his best push, his best booking string in AEW. I mean, as soon as Collision launched, he gets put into the mix with CM Punk, and he was going to have that big match with him, main event match at All Out in Chicago. Okay, that ended up not happening, but that means he got the feud with the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson, and he got put into one of the greatest strap matches of all time, if not the greatest strap match of all time, a match that Bryan Danielson said Ricky Starks was able to show how big of a star he is. Bryan Danielson said Ricky Starks carried him to the finish line in that match. Then the following week on Collision, he beats Bryan Danielson, and then he's in a Texas death match, which was like the PG version of a Texas death match that I've ever seen in my life. But still, they pulled it off, and it was great.
I don't know how's that a PG version with Bryan Danielson bleeding and then stomping Ricky Starks' head into a steel chair to the point Ricky comes up bleeding from the mouth at that finish. I don't know how that's PG.
Maybe PG-13.
I've seen
John Moxley pulling out beds of barbed wire.
No, you're comparing it to just AEW. You want to see a PG Texas Death Match? Check out WWE. Like, that's PG with their no DQ and false count anywhere matches. That's PG. That is not PG. That's PG compared to Moxley stabbing Hangman in the head with a fork, maybe. But that's still PG-13.
That man treated his head like a baked potato when he did that. But regardless, Ricky Starks loses that matchup.
And Brian stomped Ricky's head like it was a cockroach.
So it was like I said, more mild compared to a John Moxley Texas death match, right? So yes, comparatively speaking to other Texas death matches, it was a little bit more on the milder side, but still it was fantastic. Ricky Starks did a lot of great things in that match to protect Bryan Danielson, who was obviously just Look, they're trying to get him to the finish line because they want him to go balls out with Zack Sabre Jr. on Sunday, right? They were not going to miss this. That match was not going to be denied this Sunday, for sure. They were not going to take any major risks with this match. Ricky Starks, again, a great performance there, but he ends up losing SP3. He's not on the WrestleDream card this weekend, and I'm doing the post-collision show on Fightful, and my lovely co-hosts, Cresta and Iridian, both Ricky Starks, purists, fans, they want the best for him. They are growing impatient, waiting for that rocket to be strapped to his back, waiting for him to win some championships and be presented as the top babyface, the top guy in AEW. Is patience a virtue here when it comes to Ricky Starks? Do we feel like it's coming? Like similar to an LA Knight situation, like patience is the key here? Or do you think maybe he might not ever be that guy in AEW?
I feel like two guys that are in the kind of the similar situation is Swerve Strickland and Ricky Starks, where they are both very much over heels to the point that they're so over that some people would argue that they're not really heels. They're too popular to be heels. And also with the booking that they get, they 9 times out of 10 lose all their feuds because they are heels and because this is AEW where the baby faces always come out on top. And I think that, yes, patience is a virtue because of how you have to look at the booking signs. The booking signs were pointing towards Ricky ending this whole thing with Bryan after the Texas Death Match and then smoothly transitioning into feuding with fellow Blackpool Combat Club member Jon Moxley. Yeah. I think it was Moxley and Starks was the original idea for the next international title feud. I say that regardless of how long Moxley is out, you skip the middleman and you make that a feud when Ricky becomes the international champion. I don't think Rey Fenix is the plan. I don't think Rey Fenix having the title for long is the plan. No. You put that title on Ricky Starks because he needs a big win. He needs a title win. The international championship is still viewed as the second tier, the second biggest title in this promotion. Put that on him and let him flourish.
Yeah, it's one thing to say, okay, he needs to be a champion. Great, I agree. What title? You're not taking the TNT title off of Christian, who literally just won it officially for the first time on Saturday, right? So you're not bucking whatever Christian you're doing with Christian right now. You just put the Ring of Honor World title on Eddie Kingston, in which case Ricky needs a title in AEW anyway. You got enough AEW talent who are holding Ring of Honor titles anyway at this point. He was already Max's first, big opponent when Max first wanted. Do you go back to him at some point? I don't think they're ready to take the title off of MJF anytime soon. The only title that's left that makes sense is that international championship. And unfortunately, there was a bump in the road with Moxley getting a concussion this past Wednesday and him calling an audible in the ring, although the referee sure as hell didn't pick up on it until it was too damn late. But Rey Fenix wins the international championship off of Jon Moxley. I agree with you. I think if Mox is not going to be able to come back within the next week or two and win the belt back immediately, have Ricky beat Rey for it and then just transition right into him and Moxley. Because I think Ricky winning it off of John was the play to make here. I agree. Patience is a virtue here. I don't know what Ricky's contract situation is, and I know everybody points to a Ricky Starks as a guy who should go over to WWE or may go to WWE next, but don't know what his contract situation is. I get the like correlation. Oh, he's great friends with Cody Rhodes, and he would be great.
I'm just letting everybody know we're gonna have the same conversation when he's in WWE. We're gonna have the same conversation of, oh, patience is a virtue. Oh, they haven't done anything. They haven't pushed him in the main event. See, we would be going through the same conversation. That's why I don't understand. People are like, no, he should definitely go to WWE. Oh, you're next. Or you're next to go over there. I'm just like, where's there room for Ricky Starks to get this main event push that y'all want him to have in AEW and WWE? Like, is he right now? You put him in WWE. Is he going to be viewed and booked better than Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, the Judgment Day, all 4 members of those guys? What about Jey Uso? What about Drew McIntyre? What about LA Knight? You want LA Knight to get a push. Why? And you want Ricky Starks to also get a push when he gets called over? Y'all don't make no sense. Y'all don't make no sense.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, don't forget that you have Braun Breaker, Carmelo Hayes, Ilya Dragunov. Don't forget Gunther and everything. Like you got all these
bunch of people in the NXT. Just kept. Tyler Bate was 19 years old when he got signed to WWE. This man's 25. He got gray hairs in his beard now. And y'all talking about Ricky Starks at 32, 33 years old, going to come over here and get a big push?
We can't even get a Montez. We can't even get a Montez Ford singles push. Come the hell on.
Y'all really don't think about what y'all ask for. Like, that's what I'm convinced. Wrestling fans don't think what they ask for. They just ask for it and don't think of what's going to happen after. And then what? That's the theme of this show over the last couple of months. That wrestling fans don't think about that. And then what?
No, they think about the moment and they want their favorites to do well. And I appreciate that and I respect that. Number 3 here is we got to go rapid fire because I know you got a heart out here. LA Knight badly was missed in that main event segment on Friday Night SmackDown. It just drug on and on and on as the Bloodline beat John Cena into a bloody pulp pretty much. We found out not long after he tested positive for COVID-19. Don't know when he's going to be able to come back. Hopefully it's soon. But last night on Monday Night Raw, they announced that John Cena is going to be facing the Bloodline in a handicap match. Do you think that is the plan that they're going to stick with if LA Knight cannot get cleared in time to face Jimmy and Solo at Fastlane in Indianapolis?
Yes. They don't need to put in anybody because if the end goal is supposed to be the Bloodline winning, it does not matter who Cena's partner is. So you could do the Cena handicap match. And then it's more believable that the Bloodline should win that. Sure. And you give Jimmy Uso a big win because if anyone desperately needs a big win in this Bloodline storyline, it is Jimmy Uso.
Yeah, 100%. I say you go forward with the handicap match, especially if the Bloodline is supposed to win. Now, if this is supposed to be a way to put LA Knight over, have him win, and then Roman comes back, and then that's how you start the LA Knight Roman Reigns build up to Royal Rumble or wherever you're going to do that. Yeah, I guess you got to wait and do it at a different time. This sucked. This is like the worst possible timing for something like this for LA Knight. So hopefully he gets cleared and he can come back. But I say, yeah, you go ahead with the handicap match because you already sent out AJ Styles. He already got
AJ Styles. Man, I'm seeing people come back the next week from bigger attacks. If they want Cena's team to win, AJ Styles can come back this week if LA Knight is not cleared. But like I said, if the goal is Jimmy Uso gets the win, then yeah, keep it as a handicap match.
Whose title run is more at risk this Saturday at No Mercy? Carmelo Hayes or Becky Lynch's?
Carmelo Hayes by far. This is the second match with Ilya Dragunov. Ilya Dragunov has been built up to be the guy that can be the heir apparent to Carmelo Hayes. I would hate to see Carmelo Hayes reign end here because I don't see he's another guy who's on NXT who's ready to be called up, but I don't see like the immediate thing for him to do on the main roster other than joining up with Street Business, which would be cool. You
took the words right out of my mouth because like what we saw on Friday makes me think that Dawkins is going to get the boot from Street Business at some point. They'll split up the Street Profits. They'll start Montez's like singles.
I'd rather them just have Carmelo join up with Street Business. You have a tag team. You have someone that can go for the top title. You got someone who could go for the US title on SmackDown. That I feel like that would be the best thing. I hope the story with the Street Business is they eventually do come over to Bobby Lashley's way of thinking and they can stick together. But yeah, I do have the same fear you do that they're just going to dump Dawkins.
Yeah. Well, Dawkins would make a great baby. Like he's such a likable guy and he's so goofy. Like I know Montez is too, but I buy Montez more as a heel than I do Dawkins. I feel like, I don't know. I don't buy into as much with Dawkins as a serious bloodthirsty heel because he is such a goof and he's a lovable guy. Like he really is.
And honestly, I think Melo is more at risk, and I am probably going to predict that Ilya Dragunov gets the win because I feel like he needs it. Yeah. But like either one of these guys could go to the main roster at any point. I just know that Carmelo Hayes, he probably won't go immediately to the main roster, even if he does lose the title on Saturday, because they are been teasing heavily. He's going to do something with Trick Williams as far as a feud.
Yeah, and I would think they'll run this one back too. They'll get three matches out of these guys for sure. Also, I think they tipped their hand last night with the whole Tegan Nox Becky Lynch thing. Yeah. I mean Becky's winning. Becky's winning.
I mean, it was not going to happen anyway, but they just made it quite obvious that
very extremely obvious. Unless you're going to like make Becky and Tegan like a tag team or something, which I don't know. Anywho, regardless, great seeing Tegan be a part of Raw. I want to watch that. I need to go back and watch that. Lastly, I'm driving to the stadium last night, SP3, and my phone starts blowing up. How the fuck is Stars going to cancel heels after 2 seasons with that damn cliffhanger?
No, I want
screwed me over with Glow, and now heels ain't getting a season 3. What are we doing?
It's been a tough week, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh my god!
Because I lost Winning Time, the Laker Dynasty show.
They canceled that.
Yes, they canceled that too.
Oh.
Right? They canceled that, and they ended it in the 1984 NBA Finals where we lost to the Boston Celtics. So we never get to beat the Celtics in the Winning Time universe. Magic Johnson, the whole Laker dynasty ends with Boston winning in 1984. What? And then you want to make things worse? How about Stars heels with one of the greatest season finales you will ever see? That was so compelling that left you on a cliffhanger ridiculously because you don't know what's going to happen next. They've kind of foreshadowed that, the streaming company wants Gully and Jack to work together for their wrestling promotion, but still Gully has his whole lawsuit against Jack. And FWD was supposed to win against DWL, and you had Jack representing FWD, but Jack decided to do a goddamn shooting star press, and now he's paralyzed forever. We don't even know. It's only your fault. If you didn't watch Heels, shame on all of you. It's all your fault and Jeremy Lambert's fault. Yes, Jeremy. I'm blaming Jeremy Lambert. He's the editor, director of content for Fightful. It's all his fault. Yes, he got it canceled. Damn you, Jeremy Lambert.
That show is so fucking good. Like, how they were able, like, I'm so mad about this. Like,
I would never see another Wild Bill promo cast. Oh my god, Wild Bill promo class was the highlight of every episode.
I mean, the SP3, the writing on this show was spectacular. Like, they were able to write so many storylines, and not even storylines for the wrestling business that are like part of the wrestling show and part of the DWL, but also all this other compelling shit that's going on with so many different characters. This all the way down to the secondary character. I had the privilege of talking to several of the cast members ahead of this season. I got to watch this season well in advance, and I ate it up. I got to binge watch it because I was one of the lucky few who did that, and I ate every single one of those episodes up. Mike O'Malley's a damn genius as a showrunner, and you end it like, how and why this is bullshit. Somebody has got to step up and save this show, whether it's HBO, whether it's Amazon, somebody, Netflix, please.
CW, somebody needs to pick this show up because I need to know if Jack can walk. God damn it. I need to know if the Condemned ever won the DWL World Championship. I need to know if Rooster is still with the FWD, if Crystal's going to turn on DWL and go to FWD, if Willie's going to go to FWD. I need to know all of it. I think they're going to be on the streaming company. If that scumbag from the streaming company is going to try to fuck Stacey Spade, I need to know everything. If Mama Spade will ever smile again, like she hasn't smiled for 2 seasons, we'll never know.
Hulu, pick one. Peacock, Hulu. I don't give a fuck. Like, seriously, like, the writer's strike ends, and then they're like, oh, by the way, we're canceling all of these shows. And that's what fucked them. That's what fucked them, is this writer's strike and this actor strike happened as this show was going on, so no one can promote it.
No one can
promote it. Like, the only people who promoted it were the wrestling websites because we got to do the media junket. Normal people don't read wrestling shit.
No,
they read
don't.
Variety. They read TV Guides. TV Guides still a thing. I don't know what normal people read.
I don't know.
Oh, what you got going on the True Heel Heat this week?
Check out the True Heel Heat YouTube channel. You know what? We were just going to do it for Patreon, but now that it's canceled, we're going to put it on the channel. We're doing a Heels Season 2 review. We did a Patreon review for Season 1, so we're going to do a review for Season 2 and a eulogy for the fact that we will never know what happened to Jack Spade's legs. We'll never know if that man walked again. Never know. Never know.
Normally, your daddy's right. Just listen to your daddy.
Listen to your daddy. Yo, that joint almost had me in tears when the spirit of Tom was. I told you, Jack. Way to go. I was like, oh shit. They added that too. Oh damn. That was one of the best season finales I ever. Because I'm just like, okay, why are they showing us this? Why are they showing? And it's funny because it's also a full circle to the very first episode of Heels, because I rewatched season 1 this week because I love season 2 so much. I had started watching season 1 again, and then that news came out yesterday, and I just finished season 1. I was just like, God damn. But it's a foreshadow to the first episode, because when Jack, the first episode of season 2, actually, because they showed the first match Jack and Ace had when he kept asking him, can I go to the top rope? Can I go to the top rope? And Jack was like, no, don't do it. Don't do it. But he eventually did it. So I was like, oh, they brought it all together even in that way. And
the writing on the show is brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. Like, y'all need to start streaming this, watching this, and start tweeting. Somebody needs to save this damn show. It's too damn good.
Y'all, you wild in Frantic World. Power spin-off series is not in trouble. 50 will kill somebody if they try to cancel one of his shows. This is 50 Cent. He gonna kill somebody if they try to cancel. He ain't gonna cancel even one Power spin-off. BMF? They ain't canceling any of 50 shows.
Look at the A-Shock with a great point. Both CM Punk and Ricky Rabies are both free agents now.
Shit, man.
But how great was AJ Lee in this show, though, by the way? AJ Mendez.
Really good.
Oh, my God. Like, that's what made me tear up the most, was just seeing her in the ring in any capacity whatsoever. Just doing her skip and parading around. And
I'll tell you. Wild Bill's promo class was making me tear up almost every week. Every week, Wild Bill, when he started on one of those monologues, I'll be like, oh, man, this show's awesome.
Somebody needs to step up and save this shit. Man, goddamn, such good shit. Like, first you're not going to give me my ending to Glow, and now you're cutting down Heels before it even gets in its fucking prime.
See, like, I was watching Glow, like, season 1, I was into it, and then season 2, I like, dropped off, and then by the time season 3 came out, I already heard the rumors that it was about to be canceled, so I was like, do I even want to put myself through that emotional
trauma? But at first, it got renewed for a season 4, and then they said, nah, we ain't doing it, because they didn't want to do it was during the COVID shit. They were like, nah, we don't want to do all the freaking
hashtag cancel stars. Hashtag cancel stars.
Fuck stars. I already canceled. We'll be back next Tuesday.
Powers up. Sorry.
Have a great rest of your week, guys. This has been the Believe in Pro Wrestling podcast, brought to you by Bet Online.